the squad together for this year's Junior Grizzlies 3-on-3 tournament. Presented by 2K at the Built Ford Tough practice facility inside FedEx Forum. On Saturday, January 4th, teams will compete in 3 games before advancing to single elimination play. Overall winners from the 10 and under, 12 and under, and 14 and under divisions will win Grizzlies tickets, including exclusive access to the pregame team shoot-around before the Grizz take on the Pelicans January 24th. Sign up today at hoopitup.com/Grizzlies.
Let's face it, there's a lot of trash talk in basketball, but the great teams let their performance do the talking. Like Ford F-150 with Pro Power on board, a class-exclusive industry-first feature that turns your truck into a mobile generator and leaves the competition speechless. Ford F-150, official truck of the Grizzlies. Greatness starts here at your Mid-South Ford dealer. Class is full-size pickups under 8,500 pounds, GVWR.
When it's all on the line, you turn to the strong, the stable, the unwavering. To those with a history of raising their performance to meet the moment. It's true in basketball. It's true in banking. Grizzlies Checking from Pinnacle. Play hard, bank easy. Open a Grizzlies checking account with at least $100 and a recurring direct deposit by August 31st, and you could receive a $200 direct deposit bonus into your account. Details at grizzliesbanking.com. Member FDIC.
Thanks for showing up, Memphis. Nothing beats catching your Grizzlies IRL, and nobody knows that better than you. So next time you want to hit up a game, Ticketmaster's got your back with tickets to every upcoming matchup. Whether you're catching the Grizzlies at home or on the road, you'll find tickets at Ticketmaster, the official ticket marketplace of the Memphis Grizzlies and the NBA. Keep putting that jersey collection to use and get Grizzlies tickets today. There's no better brag than saying you saw it live. See you courtside again soon, Memphis.
Live from the Built Ford Tough studio at FedEx Forum, it's the Gary Parrish Show, presented by Ortho South, on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app. Now, here's your host, Gary Parrish.
All right. I'm here. My name is Gary Parrish. I'm speaking to you from the Built Ford Tough studio. We're in FedEx Forum, downtown Memphis. Bennett Doyle right there producing the program. Glad he's with me. Glad you're with me. Hope you're getting through the day best you can. And I hope you're ready for more NBA Cup, because the quarterfinals, they get underway tonight. As an NBA employee, I'm going to try my best to get you excited for it. We're going to do that momentarily. First, though, quickly, let me set today's schedule for you. When we finish this open, we're going to take a break. Come back. Do 5 more things you need to know, at which point we're going to discuss 5 previously undiscussed stories. Among them, Luigi Mangione has been charged with murder in the shooting death of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson last week in New York City. We're starting to learn about the 26-year-old Ivy League graduate. I'll walk you through what we know. We'll do that in about 20 minutes. Penny Hardaway, he had some interesting comments at his weekly radio show last night. I'll discuss some of them with Bennett. We'll do that in the next segment. Colorado State football coach Jay Norvell, he became the latest multimillionaire to spend a press conference complaining about NIL and its impact on his sport. I'll play you what he said, then I'll tell you why he sounds silly. We'll do that a little later on in the show. More details have emerged about how negotiations went down between Juan Soto, the New York Mets, and the New York Yankees. Apparently, a suite at Citi Field might have played a role in the Mets beating the Yanks for generational talent. I'll walk you through that situation. We'll do it in just a bit. And AJ Dybantsa, the number 1 high school basketball player in the country, announced his commitment this morning. He's going to play college basketball at Brigham Young University. Oh, they paid a lot for him. We'll talk about that situation. We'll do it during a segment we call 5 More Things You Need to Know. Then we'll eventually do GP's carryout, and we'll call it a day. So that's the rundown. We got a lot to get to, but I did want to start with the NBA because it's a big night for the association, or at least it's a night that the association would really like to be a big night if they can ever get folks to first understand and then care about the NBA Cup. I'm not sure if they can or if they will, if I'm being honest, but either way, the first 2 NBA Cup quarterfinals in the second annual NBA Cup. They're going to be played tonight. It's a doubleheader on TNT. First at 6 o'clock, Magic at Bucks. Then at 8:30, Mavericks at Thunder. The winners will advance to Saturday's NBA Cup semifinals. They're going to be played in Las Vegas. The losers will be eliminated from the 8-team bracket. Then on Wednesday night, we're going to do it all over again with Hawks at Knicks, followed by Warriors at Rockets. Again, the winners will advance to Saturday's NBA Cup semifinals in Las Vegas. The losers will be eliminated from the 8-team bracket. Semifinals on Saturday. Championship game next Tuesday night on ABC, live from T-Mobile Arena. Big Bet Bennett, that's more or less the breakdown pretty much of everything you need to know heading into the NBA Cup quarterfinals. Do you care at all?
Yeah, because I like the NBA. So yes, I care. It's actually the bracket. It's not that bad. I mean, you don't have like the Lakers or the Celtics, but you've got some. This first game tonight is tough because you don't have Paolo Banchero, right, for the Magic. So that's tough. But you got Giannis, you got Dame. So that that one's okay. Trae Young that's tomorrow night.
Yeah, but that's tomorrow night, and that's good.
But Dallas and Oklahoma City is a good matchup. I like that. I'm into that one. Tomorrow night, Trae Young, Knicks, that's good. Give me that. And I do. Rockets Warriors could be pretty contentious too. So like
Trae Young back at the Garden, like they genuinely don't like him. Like his Trae Young chance just randomly break out.
It's great.
Like during Yankee games on the subway.
Yes.
So. That'll be fun. That'll be a fun scene.
And he gives it back to him, which is good too.
He's terrific. Yeah. Like, it's fun. So it is what it is. I'll have it on. I can't tell, if I'm being honest, whether I don't care as much as I'd like to, because the whole thing is silly and or confusing, or because, and this might really be it, we're now 2 years into it, and the Grizzlies have never played a role in it.
That's it for me.
I mean, we're 2 years in, and the Grizz have never advanced to the quarterfinals. We're 2 years in, and the Grizz have never been in a position where we could even say something like, all right, check this out. Like, I've never looked at you and said this.
Yeah.
Bennett, here's the deal. Tonight, final NBA Cup game, group stage, and if the Grizzlies tonight are able to do this very reasonable thing that they should do, then they're going to advance to the NBA Cup quarterfinals. I've never even been able to say that to you. It's never been that. It's always been heading into the last game, they're already eliminated, or heading into the last game, they've got to win it by 40 million. It's never been like, ooh, buddy, just watch tonight, and if this thing goes this way, we're good. We're going to the quarterfinals. We've never felt it. How much of an issue is that?
I think it is here just because if we were in this thing, I mean, dude, this is the biggest thing in sports tonight. The NBA Cup on TNT. It just is.
Well, Jimmy V Classic.
Oh, yeah, that's right. But the Tennessee's playing a crappy Miami team.
Then
Who
it's
else is
John
in that?
Calipari and the Arkansas Razorbacks against Dusty May and the Michigan Wolverines.
Okay, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. I'd argue the NBA Cup matchups are a little bit bigger.
I would assume that Michigan, Arkansas might get a bigger number.
Stop. Are you serious?
I don't want to.
That's going to be interesting.
I don't want to get sidetracked, but NBA regular season television ratings have not been.
They've not been good. Okay,
promising.
Fair enough. I think though, if we were in this, we would be fired up about it. Being on TNT, hearing Charles and them talk about the Grizzlies, I think we'd be super fired up about it and be looking at the bracket and all that kind of stuff. It's just we haven't had the opportunity.
I think that is the most obvious explanation for why in this market we have never truly had NBA Cup fever.
Yes.
It's because we haven't felt it yet. I think that's the best explanation.
And we've never even felt like the lead up. Like we've never had we were out of it before it started, dude. Like we were eliminated both years pretty quickly.
We're not off to we don't get off to great NBA Cup starts.
Not at all.
So I do think that's probably the most important deal, that we just haven't felt it, been involved in it. And so it just seems like something that's happening that we're not involved in. It's like a little party that we don't ever get invited to. So why do we care what's happening at that party? Beyond that, I do think it's difficult on some level for casual fans to follow, in part because it doesn't operate, this tournament. That's what they call it. It's a tournament. But it doesn't operate like any other tournament we Americans are used to consuming. I know you can find some examples other places, but In the United States of America, we don't typically have tournaments like this. Like this, meaning with the NBA Cup in group stage, it's like on a Tuesday, you might play a group stage NBA Cup game with a crazy court. All right. And it's like, okay, that was fun. Then your next game could just be back to a normal court, no NBA Cup ramifications. Then the next game, you're back to the NBA Cup. Then another normal game. Then it's like you and I do this for a living. And I still have to wake up sometimes and go, okay, the Grizz are playing Denver tonight. Is that a Cup game or not? All right, now it's Philadelphia. Cup game or not?
Sure.
Next up, it's Chicago. Is this one of the Cup games or not? What about this game with Dallas? Is this a Cup game or not? I know we just did a Cup game, and I know we got another one coming up, but is this one, is the one tonight, is it a Cup game? It's not the type of anything nearly anybody is going to know off the top of their head, whether your favorite NBA team is playing a Cup game tonight or not. To be clear, I'm not suggesting it's too confusing for anybody to understand, right?
Sure.
I understand it. I'm just saying there's no way to understand it without really trying to understand it and taking time. And in this country, most tournaments, relatively speaking, are just way easier to follow. In this country, typically you start a tournament and everything you do between the time you start the tournament and the time you end the tournament is a part of the tournament. Do you see what I'm saying here?
Yes.
That's the NCAA tournament. That's the College World Series. That's the NBA playoffs. That's the NFL playoffs. That's the Major League Baseball playoffs. It's the college football playoffs that we're about to experience. But in the NBA Cup tournament, you're constantly bouncing in and out of the event. We're in the event today. We're out of the event tomorrow. We're in the event next week. We're out of the event the day after that. One game is an NBA Cup game. The next game is not. Perhaps it'll catch on someday, but for now it appears that it remains a work in progress, which is not to suggest I can't appreciate the attempt to create something compelling in a regular season that most metrics tell us fans don't care too much about, in part because some franchises refuse to prioritize it. So I understand the attempt. Let's try to create something in the context of our regular season that feels bigger, looks different, and we can say it matters, and people will believe that it matters, and players will believe that it matters, and we'll even incentivize them with money because, you know, if you win an NBA Cup, you're going to end up with more money in your direct deposit than you otherwise would. I understand the idea behind all of it. I just don't know if it's catching on the way they had hoped that it's catching on.
Yeah, I mean, so if I could think of like a comparison, right now the UEFA Champions League's going on in soccer, okay? And that's different big programs from different leagues playing each other in this big
They've
tournament.
been doing that for a long time, and they all understand it.
That's right. I believe that that's what the NBA, like when they're doing this, I think that's what they're trying to model this thing after, is what they do in soccer with these. You bring together these big programs from different leagues and play in this big tournament. And I know this is just NBA teams, but it seems like with the NBA Cup, they're trying to do what soccer does with these in-season style tournaments where they separate from their league play and do this one-off thing over here.
Soccer is the best example. Most Americans do not follow soccer seriously. And so, again, when we think of tournaments, we think of the NCAA tournament, I believe, first and foremost. Mm-hmm. But whether it's NBA playoffs, NFL playoffs, college football playoffs, it's okay. If you even have a group stage, it's like, okay, you're going to play your group stage games, then those will be over, and then you will either advance to the bracket or you won't. But there's not the, this is group stage, this is not. This is group stage, this is not. This is group stage, this is not. I know they might do that in soccer. We don't follow soccer like that in this country, not across the board. You know what we follow in this country? The NFL. And we see how they do tournaments. College basketball, we see how they do tournaments. Major League Baseball, we see how they do tournaments. Every other tournament we do in this country, with few exceptions, and certainly all of the big ones, they're very easy to consume. Most of them don't have a group stage. And even if they do, everything that happens in the group stage happens together. And then you move on to the bracket, and a bracket is like one of the easiest things to follow in sports. That's like among the reasons the NCAA tournament is so big is because we have a bracket that all fits on one page. People can print it out, fill it out. They like doing that, going about decades. College basketball makes college basketball big, sure. Like, let's not overcomplicate it. But that bracket plays a role. The way it's constructed and the way that we do it, it's so easy to follow. You don't even have to know anything about basketball to be able to follow that bracket. And among the issues with the NBA Cup is that before you get to this bracket, everything is just confusing for most people.
Yeah, I think I'm with you. I would, and I know there's a lot of things logistically that you would have to work through for the league, but I think to maximize this thing, if they want it to become a thing, I do think it needs to be like these 2 weeks blocked off for nothing but NBA Cup.
That's right.
You can regionalize it, so it's like Grizzlies, Hawks, Pelicans, whoever over in this corner. You know, you get the West Coast teams. You do your little round robin tournament style bounce around. You know, if teams get eliminated, okay, then the Hawks and the Grizzlies are going to play in Atlanta at the end of the week. I think you could figure it out.
You and I are completely on the same page here. I'm not saying get rid of the NBA Cup. I'm saying I think there's a better way to do this.
I do too.
I think there's a better way to do it. I like the idea. I like that you're thinking. I appreciate you thinking. I like big thinkers.
I do too. I like a tournament. I love a tournament. I love a bracket, man.
I love a bracket.
Yep.
I like this, the idea of it. I just think there's a better way to do it.
Yeah.
They need to tinker with it a little bit, and I bet you they will. And I think what you just suggested would be an improvement.
Yeah.
Whether it's a 2-week window or a 10-day window, however you want to do it, they know more about their schedules than I do. But I think to really elevate this to something that you want it to be, you need to carve out a window and say, in this window that we are about to experience, everything you see is going to be an NBA Cup game.
It's Cup Week.
It's Cup Week.
Yep.
You don't have to wonder, is this Cup Week? Is this a Cup game? We just told you it's Cup Week. What you're doing today is Cup games. What you're going to be doing 2 days from now is Cup games. What other franchises are going to be doing tomorrow, those are Cup games. And eventually these group stage Cup games will be over, and then we'll get to a bracket. And then if you want to keep following the NBA Cup, there's your bracket. That's easy to follow.
Yeah.
And if you're out of it, now we're just making the schedule so we can get all the teams that were eliminated. We got 8 in the Cup. We got 22 eliminated. We're going to take these 22 teams and start making games against each other. And you'll know that those aren't Cup games, A, because they're not in the bracket, and B, they don't have the big colorful courts anymore. That's just much easier to digest.
I completely agree. Yeah, I mean, because it was earlier in the season when we were, it was because the Cup games were always on Tuesday night, the qualifying games. And I think we had a game, maybe it was the Sixers or something, maybe it was the Clippers that was on a Thursday night. And I'm sitting here saying, yeah, we got a Cup game coming up. And it wasn't a Cup game.
That's the point. You and I do this for a living.
That's right.
If anybody should know, it should be us. But if I'm being completely honest with you, before I come and sit in this chair during the Cup portion of the schedule, I got to go look it up.
Yeah.
It's not something you automatically know, and it should be.
Yeah.
It should be something you automatically know, and it's not.
I also think that you could have a chance by doing it like that, where you do this just, round robin, like group play thing and regionalize it. You have a chance to create bigger rivalries in the league, which is something that the league needs right now, is big rivalries. I think you got a chance to do that.
There's just a better way to do it.
Yeah.
I'll have the games on tonight.
Oh, me too.
I'll watch the semifinals on Saturday. I can't wait for the championship game next Tuesday night. Competition's competition.
Yep.
And if I remember correctly, we did, once we got to semifinals and championship game last season, there was an increased level of awareness and attention on those things.
Oh yeah, it got good. When you got down to like the Final Four or whatever it was, people were into it.
Yeah. So I can't wait to get there.
Yeah.
I just think there's a better way to do this. And I think they'd benefit from sitting down and really brainstorming and maybe even pulling you into the room, Bennett, because I see you got some good ideas this morning.
I like to talk, yeah.
I see you got some good ideas this morning.
Luke, let's clip this. Send it to the league.
Send it to the league.
Yep.
Bennett's got some ideas. If I can get him a face-to-face with Adam Silver.
I'd love to talk to Adam.
I got his address.
Do you really?
Aiden Alley customer.
Get out of here.
Not technically. Let me be honest with it. Somebody.
He's like a customer of a customer, is what you're saying.
Yeah, somebody. He had a baby, and somebody had to buy a baby gift. And next thing I know, like, Kelly's calling me, like, do you know Adam Silver? Yeah, I know Adam Silver. Yeah, I got to send him it sounds like he just had a kid. Do you know he had a kid? I did not know he had a kid. All right. Well, I think he's important. He is important.
Yeah.
He's the commissioner of the NBA.
Let's throw a little extra in there if we don't mind.
Yeah. So, make it a good gift.
Yeah.
That's the commissioner of the NBA.
Put your card in the bag.
I can give you his address if you want it.
Okay.
They got it in the Aiden Ollie computer. I can get you his address if you just want to show up at his
I just
house.
want to send an email.
Yeah, showing up at his house would seem a little aggressive.
Particularly
with that
trying
beard.
to keep my job.
Particularly with that beard.
Yeah, with everything going on in this country right now, I'm not showing up at his house, okay?
I wish you would show up at Adam Silver's house.
No.
Saying, hey, Commissioner Silver, on behalf of the Gary Parrish Show in Memphis, we were just sort of talking on Tuesday morning, right after AJ Dybantsa committed to BYU. Mm-hmm. We got some ideas for how you can improve this NBA. I think you should. I'll get you how about this? I'll get you the address, and then you can take it from there.
Okay.
I'll leave it up to you. I'll give you the tools, and then if you want to use them, you can use them. It's not up to me.
Okay.
All right.
Sounds good.
I think we settled this. We come back. It's time to talk about Luigi.
Yeah.
He's been arrested.
We've been putting this off long enough.
We found him in a McDonald's. He's arrested and has officially been charged with the murder of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. It's a wild story. I think we knew it was probably going to be. It's a wild situation.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it next.
Look at that. We got the whole Grizzlies team just infiltrated our studio. Santi Aldama's in the house. Look at everybody. The whole Grizzlies team. Look at Zach Edey's in the house. John Morant's in the house. Say hello. Say hello.
The Chris Vernon Show, live on weekdays at noon on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Yellow laces, really bright yellow primary color. You got black on the trim and on the edges.
I gotta get 'em.
And you got some red there as well. Look at that right there, Mike. Look at that right there.
Man, look at that G. Look at that G, boy. That G is moving strong right there, too, man.
Get all of your HBCU sports and culture news by tuning in to HBCU Huddle with CJ Hurt and Mike Wallace. New episodes drop every Thursday on grindcitymedia.com, YouTube, and Spotify.
Grizzlies are just having fun out there tonight. Morant around a screen. Bumped by Wagner. No look to Smart. Lays it up on the window and in. And it is all Grizz. The Grizzlies have the fans on their feet at FedEx Forum.
Kroger shoppers and Grizz fans, one exclusive last-minute discounted ticket deals texted straight to you during the Grizzlies 2024-2025 season. Sign up with the new Kroger Buzzer Beater deal. Fans can sign up by texting Grizz to 636-479 or visit your local Kroger store in the Delta Division and scan the QR code. By signing up, you agree to receive recurring automated promotional and personalized marketing text messages from the Memphis Grizzlies. Consent is not a condition of any purchase. Message frequency varies. Message and data rates may apply.
Sonic Radio. Welcome back to Sonic RNDIO. That spells radio with me, the CIO. This just in, the new Sonic $1.99 menu lets you build a crave-worthy meal for just $1.99 an item. Whether that's a creamy shake, crispy tots, or a quarter-pound double cheeseburger. This just out. Ostriches. They're mean, not very cute, and in my opinion, way too big for a bird. Don't miss the Sonic Fun 99 menu. 5 items, always $1.99. Live free, eat Sonic.
Tax not included. See menu for details.
Orthopedic injuries can be unpredictable, unforeseen, and unscheduled, and Ortho South understands this better than anyone. Since your injuries don't make appointments, you don't need to either. That's because Ortho South welcomes walk-ins during the weekdays, in the evenings, and even on Saturdays. So next time an unforeseen injury makes an unscheduled appearance in your life, visit orthosouth.org to find your nearest urgent care location. Just walk in and Ortho South will take care of everything, especially you. Learn more at orthosouth.org. That's orthosouth at orthosouth.org. Now, I got 5 more things you need to know.
Number 1.
Luigi Mangione, a 26-year-old Ivy League graduate from Maryland, has been arrested and charged with the murder last week of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. As we learned yesterday while we were doing the show, a McDonald's employee, what we now are told was an elderly McDonald's employee, spotted the alleged killer, who was wearing a mask similar to the one we'd all seen him photographed in, said, I think this looks like the guy. Asked somebody else, and they were like, yeah, it does kind of look like the guy. He was just like, he ordered a drink and sat down at McDonald's and was on his computer, like using their Wi-Fi, all right? So they call 911, cops show up, and they said the guy was calm and fine, and they asked him at some point, they said, were you in New York? Because he gave them an ID. They said, you have an ID on you? He gave them an ID. It was a fake ID. And they look at it, and they're like, were you in New York recently? And they said he started getting shaky. He got noticeably nervous and shaky when they merely said, have you been in New York lately? And at that point, they do what they got to do to get the search. They find the gun. Not necessarily the murder weapon, although it's clearly similar. But I've seen different ideas on that. Either way, they find a gun. They find, what amounts to a manifesto. They find multiple fake IDs, including the one they believe was used to check into the hostel in New York. Like, this appears to be, and I emphasize the word appears, but appears to be game, set, match. They found the guy. Let's stop here, because I know you're on the For You tab.
Yeah, I've spent time on both tabs
Are
last
you in
night.
agreement that it feels like we have obtained the person who committed the crime we all watched last week?
Yes.
Okay.
And now I've seen like the For You tab doing the facial scans and stuff like that, saying this isn't the same guy. It's the same guy.
It's the same guy.
It's the same guy. Yeah, I mean, he's busted. The trial is going to be fascinating. Depending on what he might just plead guilty. Like, who knows? Like, we don't.
It feels like, and I'm going to keep using words like it appears, seems, and feels like. These are all soft ways to not speak in absolutes. I don't know. But it feels like he is at a place where he's ready to take responsibility, explain to you why he did it, because it feels like this is somebody who, one way or another, reached a point where he convinced himself he wasn't just committing a cold-blooded murder in broad daylight in New York City as much as he was making the world a better place, as much as he was delivering a shock to the system that he believes needed to be sent in this manifesto. There is reportedly a line where he says these parasites had it coming. And he actually apologizes for any trauma he might have inflicted. And I don't know exactly what that means because I can't get into his head. But we've all seen the video, and there's a woman who just happens to be a bystander.
Be right there, yeah.
And it's like, Popeye, like that's trauma.
Yeah.
Watching somebody get shot to death on 6th Ave is trauma. All right? Most of us have
never seen that.
I mean, I see it on the internet a lot.
In person.
I've never seen somebody be shot in person. Have you ever seen somebody get shot in person?
No.
Yeah, I've never seen it. No,
I haven't seen it.
Right.
No.
And I know that might sound just ridiculous to somebody listening right now who lives in a different part of town. They're like, yeah, I've seen 7 people get shot, including, 2 relatives. Like, we live in we don't all live in the same places.
Yeah.
But I'm just
enough.
speaking factually. I've never seen somebody get shot, right? That's real trauma. I think if I saw somebody get shot, I think if I woke up, I'll be back in New York later this week. I think if I woke up and I was walking down 6th Ave, which is a very normal thing for me to do. I was just going to get a cup of coffee, which might do. And I saw somebody get shot in the back and then shot again, that would traumatize me.
Yeah.
That would, okay? So he actually apologizes for any trauma that he caused. And I wonder if he means that specifically about that woman or anybody else who might have just been caught up in the moment.
Yeah.
No fault of their own. But there's nowhere in there where he apologizes for what he actually did, as much as he tries to explain on some level, these profiteers have been making billions at the expense of our country, and somebody needs to wake them up and let them know this is not okay. And it really does feel like that is something he took on as a responsibility. And I bet you as he's sitting in jail right now, or at least I'll say it this way. It wouldn't surprise me if he's sitting in jail right now thinking not what so many other people I saw on TV say, which is, how could a 26-year-old Ivy League graduate with multiple degrees and from a wealthy family?
Yeah.
How could you just ruin your whole life? It would not surprise me to find out that he does not believe he ruined his whole life as much as he believed he used his life to serve a greater purpose.
So that was like I think that was the most shocking thing to me about this is just his background and where he comes from. Like, again, a super wealthy family out of Baltimore, or rural Baltimore. Because
although they make it out like he was in line to inherit all these country clubs and stuff, and then you keep reading, and it's like he's one of 30 grandchildren to a man who owns all this stuff.
Yeah.
Like, how wealthy are you if you're one of 30? But he went to a $40,000 a year high school, and he was the valedictorian. Then he went to Penn, and he graduated with all sorts of like nice stuff. I don't want to misquote it, but like he didn't just barely graduate. He was recognized, and I think he graduated. He's an Ivy League graduate with 2 degrees and the valedictorian of his prestigious high school. He's a very smart young man.
Very smart. And, the one thing that I've seen a lot of is which I believe is true. I did see it on the For You tab, but from reputable people that were hanging out on the For You tab. He got back surgery, right? He has pins in his back, and they found like his search history of like books about healing your back. And then there was a quote from someone saying that he changed after he got that back surgery because he was dealing with constant pain, which obviously dealing with constant pain, having to deal with the healthcare, you can put 2 and 2 together of why he became so angry at this person, right?
Yeah, like first we're connecting a little dots here. Obviously.
And I'm just that's all assumption. That's all assumption.
What is not an assumption, it doesn't appear, is that he did injure his back. It was a surfing accident. He moved to Hawaii to work for a company. And the young man that he was roommates with in Hawaii was on CNN last night. And that was a pretty interesting interview because the young man was like, no, I know this guy. This is unimaginable to me. This guy is smart, kind, thoughtful. And we all have friends, especially now, who are constantly ranting and raving about the world. We all do on both sides.
Yes.
I've got friends on both sides who way out there. All right. Like, I'm worried about them.
Yep.
All right. Both sides. I want to be clear. I got people I am friendly with on both sides who I think are absolutely insane. Okay. What it feels like to me is that, yes, he had this back surgery and something changed. And when I say feels like to me, just based on what I'm reading. But this former roommate, was like, I didn't know any aspect of this guy. That's what I was trying to say. I know people right now who are way out there on both sides, and like, I don't think they're doing so well. This guy is saying he never showed any signs of that when I lived with him. He wasn't ranting and raving about the government, about healthcare, about Trump, about Biden, about anything. He just wasn't that temperament. And the guy was like, I just didn't see this side of him at all. Nothing like this. The only thing that the guy said that could possibly indicate could take you down a path like this is that the former roommate did say he is somebody who was interested in trying to make the world a better place. Never really specifics, not by shooting healthcare executives, but like, I would like to make the world a better place. Do you think he got to a point where he thought this is a way to make the world a better place? I don't know, but as the story goes, he's active on social media.
That's what I was going to say.
He's posting pictures with his mom and his friends, and he's on trips, and it's just
he's very online.
And then it stops. It stops at some point after the back surgery, after the back injury. As the story goes, he moves to Hawaii, works for this company. He's taking a surfing lesson, literally first lesson. Something happens, and he's got a real back injury. They put him in a bed for like a week. They even buy him a new bed or a new mattress because something's not right. He ends up having to be treated, but it appears it never went well. Now, whether based on what I've read so far, there's no clear indication yet that he had any real issues with filing claims or the stuff that you might run into when you're dealing with the healthcare industry.
Mm-hmm.
But something set him down a different path.
Yep.
Because according to his friends and people who used to know him, this guy went from being the smartest, the kindest, the most charming. I couldn't help but think of this as the father of somebody in a similar age. Like, this young man's parents thought one day, not so long ago, they just raised the best dude in the world. Valedictorian of your prestigious high school, Ivy League grad with 2 degrees. At one point, this is going beautifully. And then...
And it appears there was a disconnect between him and his family, too.
Okay, this is what I'm trying to tell you. That he just disappears at some point.
Yep.
There was a missing persons report filed for him last month by his family. They couldn't find him.
Mm-hmm.
Before his X account was deactivated by X, I'm assuming, you could go and like look at people tweeting at him, and from a month ago, 2 months ago, 3 months ago, whatever, it's like people, hey man, I haven't heard from you. Hey man, people are worried about you. Hey man, nobody's heard from you lately. Hey, I know your family's worried about you. There's one tweet, hey, I'm trying to get in touch with you. You took some responsibilities with my wedding. I'm assuming like it's going to be in the wedding party or something.
Oh, yeah.
Now I can't get in touch with you. I need to know, are you in or out? It's like he just logged off and got isolated. And I really do believe this, not trying to oversimplify it, but I genuinely believe this because I think it's happening all over this country, all over this world. I think you take a super smart person, throw some adversity their way, isolate them with a computer, and they can get lost.
Yeah. Someone in the chat made a good point, too, that the bullets, that they had the words deny, delay, depose on them, which are obviously terms that insurance companies...
There's no question that he has an issue with the healthcare industry.
Yeah.
The question is, did they do something specifically?
Yeah.
I mean, other people...
Or was it stuff that he saw?
Other people have pointed out he had a grandmother die not too long ago, a grandfather die not too long ago. You don't know what triggered this.
Yeah.
But he clearly reached a point where he believed somebody's got to do something about this.
Yeah.
These people are denying claims, ruining lives, ending lives prematurely, while making hundreds of billions of dollars. Somebody's got to do something about this. We complain, nobody cares. We go broke, nobody cares. I'm watching these institutions in America take advantage of Americans and mistreat Americans. They never forget to take our debit out of our paycheck when it's time for them to get their money. Every pay period is coming right out to United Healthcare or Blue Cross Blue Shield or whatever. Every pay period, they never forget to take their money. You don't ever get to tell them, no, we don't think you should take the money this time. We'll look at next time. But then when it's time for you to need them, they say, we can't help you. Somebody's got to do something about it. I'm going to be that guy. Is that really a stretch?
I don't think it's a stretch at all. It's why I'm not convinced that he's going to plead guilty, even though he's pretty much, it appears, caught red-handed.
I don't know what he's going to do.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if he does this. If he ends up in one of those prison interviews with whoever, and he says, yes, I did this, and it's got nothing to do with Brian Thompson, and it's got nothing to do with his wife or his kids. But that man is the biggest example of the worst thing in this country from my perspective. And there's nothing I could say that would make people understand what him and people like him are doing to families like mine and yours. And so I felt like I needed to serve a greater good, a bigger purpose, and make the world pay attention. This is not okay. And so now the healthcare industries, starting with United Healthcare, but all of them, you can either change and start doing business the right way and start treating people fairly, or understand there's another one of me out there somewhere. They got me, but there's somebody like me. I hope I'm inspiring them right now. You will have to look over your shoulder the rest of your life worrying about me or somebody like me. unless you change the way you do business. I am not going to be surprised if he thinks he's changing the world in a good way.
Yeah, it is. I think one of the interesting parallels about this too is like, we mentioned his background and how he comes from wealth and in a good family and everything. And it appears that the CEO actually came from humble beginnings and kind of worked his way. It's interesting, right?
But you never know what people are going to latch onto.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing. There are parts of this everybody agrees on. Everybody agrees the healthcare system is messed up.
Yeah.
Everybody agrees on that. Nobody's arguing that. It is. The way we do healthcare in this country is shameful. To be the wealthiest, most powerful country in the world and have people sick every day who can't go to a doctor is insane. Shameful. Like a real stain on our country. Nobody disagrees with that. The only issue becomes most of us are going to stop short of saying...
killing someone?
Yeah. Like, you know what? Like, we all agree with what you're saying.
Yeah.
You write your 262-word letter. We agree with it. But we also live in a civilized country, and you just can't shoot people on 6th Ave. All right? But it appears that he's reached the point where he thinks this is what needs to be done. He said the parasites have it coming and had quoted some other thing that basically said at some point, and I'm paraphrasing here, but it was more or less, at some point the words don't matter if nobody's listening. At some point it's time to do something. I mean, not to get too off thing, but like there's an old clip of Tupac talking about this a long time ago. Not about healthcare, but about...
I know what you're talking about.
But about like, we've been asking for a while for you to do something, treat us right, be better, do the right thing. Eventually, we're going to stop asking. Right now, we're knocking on the door. This is Tupac. Right now, we're knocking on the door saying, man, can we please have some food? Eventually, we're going to bust down the door. All right? This is from the same, it's the same sentiment. It's the same sentiment. So I don't know where it goes from here exactly, but it is a fascinating situation. It would be much simpler if this was as simple as crazy person shot a random person.
Yeah.
This is not a lunatic. It's somebody who might have crossed into a place that... But they asked him yesterday in court, did you see this? Do you have any mental problems or drug problems? He said, nope.
Wow.
He said, no. He's very clear, I know what I did, and I'm trying to tell you why I did it. And what do you think it does to somebody when they do it last week? And he was on the run for several days.
Yeah, that's right.
He was on the internet. He was seeing everything we were seeing. He was seeing. Saturday Night Live, clown. Like he became a celebrity overnight. What do you think if you already have reached a point where you think this is your purpose, this is what needs to be done, and you don't care if you are taking somebody's father or ending your own life for all practical purposes, you're doing what needs to be done. All right? If you reach that point and then you do it, and then you watch, I don't want to say half the country because I don't know that it was half, but a not insignificant portion of the country applaud you, cheer you, and call you hot and sexy, it probably just emboldens all those things. I just murdered somebody in broad daylight. The whole world watched me do it, and not everybody thinks I was wrong.
It literally is like it's the friggin' plot of the Joker. It's kind of
I was watching The Daily Show last night, and it was kind of... It's one thing when you just see random online comments, right? That's just... I can show you random online comments of people calling me all sorts of outrageous names, like just this morning. Like I just woke up this morning and somebody decided to call me the gay slur F word on Twitter. I don't even know what I did, but that's what I got called this morning when I woke up. I opened my phone and the first thing I was called was the F word, gay slur. All right? It's one thing to see crazy stuff online. But Jon Stewart was like, and Luigi has been arrested. They found him today at McDonald's. And did you know what the crowd response was? Boo.
Wow.
On The Daily Show. Not everybody, obviously, but it was an undeniable, we caught the guy, boo. We didn't want to catch the guy. What do you think that does to somebody? If you reached a point where you thought you were doing, even if most people wouldn't think you're doing a greater good, you think you are. And then a good portion of the country co-signs it and says, yeah, man, you did. And you're hot. I just think it's a wild thing.
It's going to be fascinating to watch this play out. This trial, everything. It's going to be, if it goes to trial, it's going to be fascinating.
I couldn't get enough of it.
I couldn't either. I was consuming all of it yesterday.
Every time they tweet a new video, a new interview with somebody talking about something, I didn't even care who they were.
Also, if we're being honest, the memes are like extraordinary. They've just been amazing, and I love all of them.
It helps that he's named Luigi.
It's very much so helps.
I mean, if Buddy was named Roy, it wouldn't really. If it was like, oh, they called him, his name's Roy. It'd be like, what are we going to do with Roy? But Luigi, that opens you up to all sorts of stuff.
I hate it when I see, too, a great post that, like, I was, like, kind of thinking in my head that I might try to do, and then I see somebody else, like, I saw a million people post this, but it's the Tony Soprano saying, in this house, Luigi's a hero, and then I was like, damn it, I should have posted that, like, right when I saw it.
I had one a few weeks ago. It was something like that, and I was like, this thought that just came into my head is very funny, but it's not so uniquely mine that I bet you somebody else just did it 11 seconds before me.
Yep.
And I did a Twitter search for whatever my keywords were.
Yep.
And it popped up. Somebody had done it 2 minutes earlier, and it was a woman who I kind of know, I think. I don't know. But I just retweeted her.
There you go.
I was like, I'm going to give her credit for the joke.
There you go.
This will be my way of co-signing the joke. I independently thought of it. She got there first. I'm not just going to double up on her. Sometimes
I have principles because you have joke stealers out there that are getting like
you have joke stealers, and then here's the other
go viral.
And here's of course, and then here's the other side. I genuinely in that moment would not have been a joke stealer, but people would have called me a joke stealer.
Yes, they would have.
So I just stayed out of it, right?
Yep.
So I just
good job.
Thank you.
Good job.
The memes were great. The Luigi aspect of this makes it. I don't want to use words like funny.
No, it's...
But you know what I mean.
Yeah.
We had a good time with it.
Of course.
If you can set aside the fact that a couple
Someone was murdered.
Boys are growing up without a father now.
Yeah.
You can find humor in some of the memes, right?
Yes.
But at the end of the day, wild story.
It's insane.
It's insane. Just stay tuned. Stay tuned.
Number 2.
Penny Hardaway had his weekly radio show last night and discussed a number of things, including, obviously, the Tigers' weekend loss to Arkansas State that dropped them completely out of the Associated Press Top 25 poll. They had gone all the way up to number 16 in the AP poll.
Yeah.
After a 2-1 week in Maui. Lose to Arkansas State, and then they drop all the way out. And last night, Penny Hardaway, he said this, quote, "Unfortunately for us, we don't get the opportunity to lose a game. You have to win every game almost. If you don't, you're dropping 12, 13, 14 spots. Every game has to be an NCAA game. When you lose a game, for Memphis only, it's the worst thing in the world." What do you make of that?
Well, I mean, I think like when you just read it on the surface level, like, yeah, that comes across as a little extreme. I actually don't think he is that wrong. I'm going to be honest, because they went from unranked to number 16 in the country because of the weekend that they had in Maui. And yes, that's a bad loss to Arkansas State. I'm not sure they should have dropped all the way out of the AP poll. I mean, maybe like...
Why would you have kept them in?
Because I think they're one of the better programs in the country.
Basing that on what?
On the good wins that they had before they lost a bad game to Arkansas State. Like, I do... Now, granted, like, the teams that lose games and don't drop out, like, they're, in a lot of cases, not losing to teams like Arkansas State, right? Like, that's a bad loss.
Terrible.
It just
Terrible
is a bad...
loss.
It's a bad loss.
Yes.
But I do think that Memphis is still a good program, and I do think that there should be a little bit of a benefit of the doubt to keep them at least close. And I don't think they should have dropped all the way out. Okay. I don't. I think they should have been in the low 20s, and then you lose, to Clemson, and then you take them out.
Okay, well, technically, and I know what you mean by low 20s, but I think you'll know what I mean too. Technically, they are in the low 20s.
Yeah, they're
28th.
Yeah,
okay,
fine.
So they're 28th in the AP poll, which means they dropped from 16th to 28th. They dropped 12 spots. Okay? They dropped 12 spots in the human poll. They dropped 18 spots in the net. The computer treated them way worse than the humans.
Yeah, I got it.
They're back up to 46 as of this morning because of stuff that happened yesterday around the country. But immediately after they lost to Arkansas State, they dropped 18 spots down to, I believe, 48. It might have been 17 spots down to 48. And then now they're back up to 46. But they're 46 in the net. Would it surprise you if I told you they're not in the top 25 in any computer? You can't find one. They're just not.
No, I mean, it wouldn't.
Ken Palm, they're 39th. At Torvik, they're 42nd. And if you remove all the preseason data and just run it from the opening day of the season, then they drop down to 58th. 46th in the net, we've established that. 49th at evanmia.com. So there's not a single computer that's got them in the top 25. Most have them in the high 30s, low 40s. And yet 28th in the AP poll, 32nd in the coaches poll. So here's my point. When Penny says that, what he is implying is that the humans treat them worse than they treat other schools, other programs when they lose a game. Except what the evidence actually shows is the humans are way more
kind.
They're way kinder to Penny Hardaway's programs than the computers are, because after that loss to Arkansas State, they took a tumble in every computer and are currently in the top 25 in no computer. And by the way, Memphis has never been in the top 25 of Ken Palm or the net or any of these anyway. The truth is, the only reason they got in is because they went to Maui undefeated, and then they knocked off, at the time, the number 2 team in the country, and then backed it with a win over Michigan State. But we find out the win over UConn ain't as good as it looked, even if it looks better today than it looked last week. But then you go and lose to Arkansas State. And I think this is the main point I would want to hammer home, and I don't. Why I think Penny's a little misguided when he says things like that, and he's said stuff like this before. And I know some Memphis fans believe this as well. I guess you do too. I dropped Memphis completely out of the top 25 and won. And I even had them higher than 16. I think I had them all the way up to 14, dropped them all the way out, because when you reevaluate it after the loss to Arkansas State, simply put, I don't think they belong there anymore. Let me ask you a question. So the AP poll updated yesterday. There's 25 teams in it. Memphis is not one of them. We've established Memphis is 28th. You say Memphis should still be in. I think a lot of people agree with you, particularly people watching and listening right now. Let me ask you a question. We'll do it in the form of a trivia time.
Okay.
Trivia time.
Let's go.
How many teams in this week's AP poll that updated yesterday have lost a game to a team ranked outside of the top 110 at Ken Palm? Because Arkansas State right now is sitting at 111, and they were obviously much lower than that on Sunday morning.
I'm going to say 2. 0.
I'm going to say you're high.
1.
I'm going to say you're still high.
0.
That's right. You ready for this? Literally nobody in the AP poll right now has lost a game to a team ranked outside of the top 110 at Ken Palm. Home, away, neutral, anywhere. But Memphis has. That's why Memphis isn't in the top 25 anymore. Memphis, you ready for this? Has a loss worse than any loss anybody in the top 25 has right now. That's a fact.
Okay. That's fine. They're out. They're still close, whatever. I do think that, if they were to go win at Clemson, you got to...
if they win at Clemson, they'll get back in. You ready? They'll add a quad 1 win.
And I'm saying closer to 16 than 25, because I think then you can look at it and say, okay, bad loss to Arkansas State, but it's an anomaly on their schedule as opposed to, they're doing the same thing they did last year. They're trending in the wrong direction.
You could lose to Clemson and it still be an anomaly. I think it's an anomaly no matter what. You shouldn't be losing to sub-110 teams at home when you're favored by double digits. All right, it's an anomaly no matter what. The point I'm trying to make, not to you, but to
I got it.
Is nobody else ranked has an anomaly like that. Literally nobody. We could go through the entire poll. Start with Tennessee, get the just go through the entire poll. All 25. You ready? Here's how I know this is true. I did it this morning. Most people just don't take the time to do this.
Sure.
I wish Penny would take the time to do it. Then he wouldn't say things like that. Man, if when other people lose a game, they don't drop like us. When we lose a game, we drop 1 million spots. Well, nobody loses. Quite literally, nobody in college basketball that is currently ranked has lost a game like you just lost. That's a fact. Nobody. I mean, you look at the rankings right now. So you go through this whole thing. Start with Tennessee. They played 8 games. Auburn's played 9. Iowa State's played 8. On average, you've got every team here, let's just say, has played 9 games already, right? So now there's 25 teams in the top 25. 25 times 9 takes you to 2. Let's get this. 25 times 9.
That's me.
225.
Okay.
All right? So about roughly 220-something games have been played in college basketball by teams that are currently ranked. And none of them have lost a game to a team ranked outside of the top 110 at KenPom. Home, away, or neutral. But Memphis has. If you're wondering why Memphis dropped from 16th out of the top 25, that is why. As we sit here in this moment, Memphis has a loss on its resume that is worse than any loss anybody in the top 25 has. You and I both hope it's an anomaly. You and I both hope it is the worst of the year. You and I both hope that they bounce back with a win at Clemson and bounce right back into the AP poll next Monday. But I can't overstate how big of a stretch this is for Memphis right now, because when you lose a game you're not supposed to lose and then embark on a 4-game stretch where you could lose the next 4 very reasonably. Like you could play good, play well, and still lose at Clemson, still lose at Virginia, still lose at home to Mississippi State, still lose at home to Ole Miss. You could win all of them too by playing well. But these are games you can play pretty good. If you'd have played pretty good on Sunday, you'd have won.
Yes.
You could play pretty good these next 4, and you could lose all 4.
Well, the Ole Miss Mississippi State games are the 2 that I look at and say, I get what you're saying about reason. You really, honestly, that's a home game for you. If you're a good top 25 team, you really need to win those games. You got the home court advantage.
According to KenPom right now, Memphis would be a 1-point favorite on Mississippi State and a 1-point favorite over Ole Miss.
Yeah.
I mean, they're coin flip.
Like those 2 are, and that's a lot of fun, actually, that those are actually big games.
They're going to be great.
Yeah, that's fun.
They're going to be great.
And you just hope you can split this Clemson-Virginia next 2 because you don't want to be on a 3-game losing streak coming into those, because then you're just trying to fight your way up the rest of the season.
And then you know what you're also doing?
Yeah.
You're on a 3-game losing streak. Mississippi State's good. Ole Miss is good. They both have fans.
They'll bring fans, yeah.
Suddenly, you're on a 3-game losing streak. How many fans are you supposed to have for a Mississippi State game? Wherever it was, it starts to go this way.
Yeah, I agree.
How many fans Mississippi State supposed to have it starts to go this way?
Yeah.
That home court advantage that should be a real advantage starts to not be as much anymore. Clearly, no matter what happens, there are going to be more Memphis fans inside FedEx Forum than Mississippi State and Ole Miss. But the numbers can get closer than they should be if you're on a 3-game losing streak and
very true.
And they're not. I don't want to overstate it, but I think you could reasonably argue what I'm about to say is true. There's been no bigger 4-game stretch in Penny Hardaway's coaching career than the 4-game stretch he's on right now, for a variety of reasons. One, he's in year 7, and I think needs to go to the NCAA tournament to make sure we don't have to have difficult and complicated conversations that we don't want to have. So you just start it there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, how difficult does it become to go to the NCAA tournament if you don't handle these next 4 games well? Because these are 4 of your best opportunities, and arguably maybe your 4 best opportunities remaining to add quality wins. If you don't get them, what are you going to get done in your league? There's not much there for you to get done. So if you don't do well in these next 4, it complicates the rest of your season. And if the rest of your season is complicated, it starts to complicate your career. This is very important.
Yeah, it is.
It's
big.
Big stretch in front of him.
It's a weird 10 o'clock on Saturday.
Next up.
Super early.
Going to play like this. Television networks are in charge.
I like it. I kind of like it.
Let's get up and get going.
Yeah.
Clemson on the road right now. Point spread not out yet, but if you care about this, KenPom does project Clemson to be a 7-point favorite over the Tigers this weekend.
Number 3.
Colorado State coach Jay Norvell held a press conference yesterday. And I think if you know him at all, you probably know him as the coach at the rival of Deion Sanders, Colorado Buffaloes, because they had a little back and forth. I think they're kind of on good terms now, but they had the back and forth last year, and it got personal, and you remember all that. Anyway, I don't care about Jay Norvell or Colorado State that much. I mean, I got nothing against them, but like I don't bring this up because it's got anything
I was trying to be league mates, man. What are you talking about?
I would like to be league mates.
Yeah, I wanted to be friends.
I would like to be friends.
Yeah.
I would like to be friends, but I'm not right now.
Yeah.
But I would like to be.
Got it.
Open to it. I'm open to it. I don't bring this up because it's Colorado State Journal. I brought it up because he was making points that a lot of coaches have made. Some of them interesting, some of them misguided. Let's watch him together, mini rant in yesterday's press conference, and then we'll discuss what he said.
Agents. And these independent agents call these schools up that they know have money. And they say, what if Kevin gets in the portal? How much would you pay him? Oh, I'll pay him $150,000, and they'll go to the next school. What if Kevin got in the portal? What would you pay him? Oh, I'd give him $175. And then another school might say, oh, I'll give him $200. So now this independent agent DMs Kevin and says, call me, I got some deals for you. And then they talk, and he goes, if you get in the portal, I can get you $200,000. Okay? And it's hard for a kid, when he hears that. And so these kids are not thinking about getting in the portal, but when they have these people call them and say, if you get in the portal, I'll give you $200,000, And by the way, I'm going to take 15, 20% of that. And so these guys are just stealing from these kids. An NFLPA agent gets 3%. A lot of these agents that are talking to all of our players, they're taking 10, 15, 20%. And that's really criminal, really. But that's what's going on in college football. And as much as we try to tell our players that and educate them, when somebody's offering you that kind of money, it's still hard for these kids, okay? And so, that just kind of gives you an idea of what's happening, and it's unfortunate. And like I said, we talked to our top 26 kids. They all have been offered a lot of money.
Okay. I appreciate him putting it all out there. I like when coaches say, hey, let me tell you what's going on. But I don't think he was proving any points that he think he was proving. First off, this is just a pet peeve of mine. They're not kids. I get real bothered by that. I have 2 little kids that I woke up this morning, told them to get in the shower and brush their teeth. And, now they're at school. Those are kids. These are adults. All right? I don't like it when coaches talk about kids. And I know some of them do it out of habit and they don't mean anything by it. But when you're framing an argument about these poor kids, they're not kids. They're adults. Okay. Now let's talk about the merits of what he said. The gist of what he's saying is, let me make sure you guys understand what's happening to me and my program here at Colorado State. We're doing pretty well. We just finished second in the Mountain West. We're 8-4. We're going to a bowl game. We went 6-1 in our league. So we've got a good team. We've got some good players. You heard him just say, my top 26 have all been offered money to go somewhere else. And there are people hitting them up, DMs, text messages, however you get in touch with people these days, and saying, just get in the transfer portal. Get out of there. And I got you $200,000. All right? So, I don't care. Why should I care about that? It sounds awesome. You know where Jay Norvell was before he was at Colorado State? Nevada.
Okay.
Timothy Chalamet probably knows, but you and I don't.
Yeah, he's familiar.
He's at Nevada. I don't know exactly what went down, but I bet you at some point something like this happened. Somebody made it known to Jay Norvell. If you're interested in leaving Nevada, we could probably get you more money to be somewhere else. That's the way the coaching business works, right? Dusty May was at Florida Atlantic last year. Tonight you'll watch him coach at Michigan. You know why he's doing that?
More money.
Well, there's a lot of reasons, but that's a big part of it.
Yep.
All right? So why do I care if a football player decides to leave one place where he's making whatever money to go somewhere where he's making even more? That's what Jay Norvell did once upon a time. It's what most coaches do every year. So I cannot stand it, and I mean can't stand it when the coaches sit up there and act like these young people are doing something wrong. Most of the scholarship players you have at Colorado State are there because when they were coming out of high school or wherever, Colorado State was the best place they could go. But now, according to you, there are better places for them to go for more money. Why are we mad at them?
Yeah, and I mean, on the flip side, if you're, if one of your top 26 leaves and goes to, you're going to be calling some kid at another school and say, hey, leave your school and come here.
Okay.
Yeah, we got money for you. Yeah.
So if you're trying to bring me over to your side by saying, all right, listen, once upon a time I was the coach at Nevada, but then somebody told me Colorado State will pay you more money and it's a better job, so I came to Colorado State. But let me tell you what's driving me crazy now. Now people are doing that to my players.
Yeah.
Remember how they told me if I leave this place, I can get more money, go to a new place? Well, now they're doing it to my players, and I think it's wrong. What? What are you? Could you be more hypocritical? So I just reject it out of hand. Shut up. I know it's different than what you're used to. I know it's frustrating. But the second somebody calls Jay Norvell, this is what's interesting. They're calling his top 26. They ain't calling him. The second somebody calls him from the SEC or the Big Ten or the Big 12 or the ACC and says, we got more money for you if you're willing to leave that place, he'll leave that place the same way his players are leaving that place.
That's right.
So stop it.
Yeah, that's
all right? Now, I will tell you, one point he's making that is true is that a lot of this stuff is very predatory. You have, I hesitate to even work.
Agents, right. I got you.
It's like Mickey Mouse stuff. I've heard wealthy people say stuff like this before. Don't ever invest your money with somebody who needs your money. Invest your money with somebody who's got way more money than you could take it or leave it, and it wouldn't really matter to them.
Yeah.
Don't give your money to somebody who needs it. All right. And there's a lesson here for young people as well. When an agent, and I use that term loosely, reaches out to you, who else does this person represent? How badly does he need you? Because if you're a defensive back at Colorado State and this guy's promised you in the world, this probably ain't the guy you need to be working with. He is right that some of these agents are charging 10, 15, 20% on NIL deals, and that is awful, unfair. But they're not stealing. I don't like that word either. Nobody's stealing. I don't want to say nobody's stealing. Maybe they are.
No, maybe they are, yeah.
But what these agents are telling these young people, yeah, I can get you $200,000, but I'll keep 20%. And what a young person is saying is, okay, well, 80% of $200,000 is more than what I'm getting now. So I'm in. I don't really care what I got to give you. I'm still getting. And that is an incorrect and naive way to look at it. And that is where I would prefer Jay Norvell to stop ranting at the media and start talking to his players. This should be a responsibility of coaching staffs all over America right now. And if not specifically the coaching staffs, some arm of the athletic department. You now have an athletic department filled of young people making real money, and they don't know what to do with it. They don't come from money in many cases. They're not educated enough to deal with these types of contracts. And I say that as somebody who, if I'd have been the exact same age in their position, I would not have been equipped to deal with these contracts either. I'm 47 years old, college educated. I don't look at any of my contracts. I can't tell you the last time I read one of my contracts. I have an agent who does that. I pay him. He handles that. Everything is done that way. You want to know why? Because even as a 47-year-old, well-read, college-educated man, I know I'm not equipped to handle this stuff. So why would we expect 19 and 20-year-old and 21-year-olds to do it? That's why your job as an athletic department, they'll spend all the money in the world trying to get their muscles big as they can, trying to get to 40 speeds fast as they can get them. All right? But will you spend money investing in trying to make these young people who are coming into real money, life-changing money in some cases, financially literate? Why don't you bring in people and explain to them why you should never sign a contract with somebody going to try to take 10%, 15%, 20% from you? That's not the contract I signed. It's not the contract any of the Memphis Grizzlies sign. That is an absurd percentage to be giving away. So why not bring experts in, sit them down with your football players, and make them understand if somebody reaches out to you and says they can get you any amount of money, but they want 20%, just hit delete. That's not a real person you should be involved with. Hit them back and say, I'll give you 3%. And if they try to fight with you, hit delete. You should never sign a contract like that. If you do, you're making a mistake. Make them understand that, all right? Because ranting about people approaching your young, suddenly in money, in the world of money athletes, being upset about people approaching them doesn't do any good. Because it's not just street agents and other football programs who approach young people who are worth something. You know who else does it every day? Credit card companies. There isn't a day that goes, I'm exaggerating, but like, I can't tell you how many times my oldest son would be in high school and a application for Discover or Visa or whatever would just show up. They're just giving him a credit card. He doesn't need a credit card. Now, but this happens every day in America. You're 18 years old, you're making $4 a year, right? And they're sending you credit cards. And then you're swiping it. Now you got $3,000 on a credit card, which is nothing for a person maybe in a different aspect of life. But when you're young, that $3,000 might overwhelm you. Yeah. Now you're paying interest. Now you're doing it. Now it's the American way. Rather than say, I wish these agents wouldn't be approaching our kids, why don't you stop calling them kids, call them young adults, treat them that way, and teach them. You don't need this credit card right now with its 24% interest rate, all right? That's going to cost you money in the long run. Why don't we just live within our means? We'll leave that over here. If somebody reaches out to you and says they want 20% of your NIL, tell them no. Hang up, because that's a bad deal. No good agent will ever ask you to pay 20%. If you didn't know that before, I understand you didn't know nothing, but I'm trying to teach you. That's why we're here, right? Educate, and then let the adults make the decisions. Oh, here's some other piece of advice. If some random person gets into your DMs and says, hey, if you get into the transfer portal, I can get you $200,000, then you know what you should do? And I don't want you to do it because I'm your coach here at Colorado State, and I don't want you to do this. But if I'm being your mentor, here's what you should do. Get in the transfer portal. Leave this guy out of it. What do you need this guy for? Get in the transfer portal, jump on Twitter, and say, I'm in the transfer portal. If any coaches would like to talk to me about NIL opportunities, here's my email address. And let them come to you. You don't need this guy. So if he's telling the truth, you can go get the $200,000 without him. And if he's not telling the truth, then you didn't want to be involved with him anyway. Stop complaining and start educating. We get one of these football or basketball coaches doing a press conference like this every 2 weeks, all mad at the world, all mad at young people for doing a lot of the same stuff they've done throughout their careers. I'm never going to get mad at somebody for taking more money in what they perceive as a better opportunity. If you're a football coach or basketball coach or anybody operating in this world now, stop complaining about it because it's not changing and start educating. If you really care about these young people the way you say you do, start educating them. Make them smarter. Make them more intelligent in how they deal with these situations. But don't just keep hoping that the situations are going to go away. They're not. Learn to deal with them. And there's a better way than just ranting for 2 minutes at a press conference.
Number 4.
Juan Soto. Just 2 days after agreeing to sign with the New York Mets, we're getting more details about how the negotiations went down.
What's up?
With the Mets and the Yankees. Have you read about this at all?
No.
It's actually interesting. Remember I told you yesterday, I didn't just come back to rant to enjoy Juan Soto, I promise. But this is interesting. Because when we were talking about it yesterday, one of the points I made is we might never know exactly what it was that tilts it for the Mets and over the Yankees. It is true that the Mets had the best offer. It was 15 years, $765 million.
And the Yankees was what, 700 around there or something like that?
I think the Yankees were 16, 760.
Oh, gotcha. Oh,
one
so
extra
it
year.
was a little closer. Okay. Than I thought. Yeah.
Here's what I'm telling you. When we are talking about the difference between $765 million and $760 million, that is not something that's going to determine.
No.
That's not going to play a role in your decision.
Not at all.
Like if I owed you for whatever reason, God, I hope we never get here, but if I owed you, let's just say, not even $765 million. Let's just say I owed you $765,000. And I said, Bennett, I got 760. I don't think I can get the 765, but I'd hand you 760 right now. You'd just be like, yeah, that's fine. We're good.
I'll take it.
I'm not saying there's not a difference between $760 million and $765 million or 15 years and 16 years.
Yep.
Clearly there is. I got a calculator just like everybody else. But it ain't. It's not. It should play literally no role in your decision-making process, or very little. So I told you yesterday, I said, Bennett, we might never know exactly what it was, but when the money is all in the same ballpark, and it's like, all right. Because if I were sitting down with Juan Soto on Sunday morning, here's what I would have said. Buddy, you just hit Mega Millions and Powerball combined, all right? So now it just comes down to where do you want to play? I can already tell you, you can buy anything you want. You can buy any home you want, any car you want. You can do anything you want for the rest of your life. And so can your kids and your grandkids. And so now we just got to figure out, where do you want to play baseball? The money's over. We're done with that.
Yep.
You're gonna be the richest professional athlete in team sports history, or at least your contract's going to represent that. Let's stop talking about money and let's start talking about where do you want to play baseball. And I told you yesterday, it could be anything. It could be that one of his best friends is a Met and had been working on him for 6 months. It could be that he had and I'm just making things up. But like, it could be that he and Aaron Judge had a falling out, or he and Aaron Boone had a fight. It could be any little thing. And so the reporting starts to come out. John Heyman reports last night, among the things the Mets did to incentivize Juan Soto was he asked, in addition to 15 years and $765 million, he said, I would like a suite at Citi Field for every game for my family. And these suites hold 16 people, and a series against the, name the worst franchise you can think of.
Oakland A's.
A series against the A's is going to, like, you might only pay $18.
Sacramento A's.
There you go. You might pay $2,000 for that suite that night. Series against the Braves, you might pay $9,000 for the suite that night. It's different for different games. But on average, what I read is, if you want this suite at Citi Field for the entire year, you're looking at about $500,000. That's what it would cost. All right? So Juan Soto, or more likely Juan Soto's representation, went to the Mets and said, Juan's family is important to him. He would like a suite comped for every game at Citi Field in the regular season and throughout the postseason for the length of the contract. You know what Steve Cohen, the Mets owner, said?
Deal.
They went back to the Yankees. They said, you guys know Juan's family is very important to him. He would like a suite at Yankee Stadium for every home game through the regular season and then all the way through the playoffs. And you know what the Yankees said, reportedly? Can't do it.
No.
And you know why they said they can't do it?
Because it's Yankee Stadium. It's prime real estate.
They said Derek Jeter had a suite at Yankee Stadium, but we made him pay for it.
Oh, I got you.
Aaron Judge has a suite at Yankee Stadium, but he pays for it. We don't feel like we can give you a suite at Yankee Stadium when we never gave one to Derek Jeter and we aren't giving one to Aaron Judge. So our answer is no. When you combine that with, there's also some reporting that at Yankee Stadium this past year, there were 2 incidents where family members were asked by security to leave a certain area of Yankee Stadium. Hey, are you guys supposed to be here? Well, I'm Juan Soto's mother. Oh, yeah, but do you have a ticket to be here? Well, my son is
Juan Soto.
Juan Soto. Yes, ma'am. That's fine, but you're not supposed to be here. You need to leave.
Uh-oh.
So then she gets on, she sees her son. Hey, Ma, how you doing? I'm fine, but I'm a little upset. I was waiting for you, my dear boy. And some security, like, they made his family not feel welcome. And then he asked for a suite for his family, and within seconds, the Mets say, of course. And within seconds, the Yankees say no. So now what are we doing? Where do you feel wanted? Where do you feel loved? Now think about what I'm saying here. We're talking about 2 franchises offering in excess of $700 million. And it might have come down to a $500,000 suite. The Mets said, take it, and the Yankees said, we can't.
Yeah.
And the Yankees said, we can't, not necessarily because they were unwilling to do it in a vacuum, but because they felt like because of past negotiations, they couldn't do it. They couldn't do something for you that they didn't do for Derek Jeter, that they didn't do for Aaron Judge. And if I were a Yankees fan, this would make me go bananas. Because you ready for this? One ain't got nothing to do with the other. The game has changed. This is different. You ready for this? When you were trying to re-sign Derek Jeter, apparently you never had to give him a suite because you got him without it. When you were trying to re-sign Aaron Judge, obviously you didn't have to give him a suite because you got it done without it. This was different. Your crosstown rival was saying, we'll do it. At that point, it no longer matters what you want to do or what you did for somebody else or what you assumed you would do for this person. At that point, it's a simple question. Are you going to do this? Because if not, he's gone. It's $500,000.
Yeah.
What are you doing? It doesn't matter that you didn't give one to Derek Jeter. Things are different now. Imagine if right now there was a number one high school player, basketball player in the country, a new one besides AJ Dybantsa. We'll get to that in a minute. And he said, I want to go to Duke, but Duke, I need $5 million from you. And Duke says, well, like, what? We didn't pay $5 million for Christian Laettner.
Right.
Or Zion Williamson. So we're not going to pay $5 million for you. Okay, well, somebody else is.
Yeah.
So I'll just go there. It doesn't matter what you did for Christian Laettner or for Zion Williamson. It matters that we are in this negotiation. This ain't got nothing to do with Derek Jeter or Aaron Judge or anybody else. This is about, it really comes down to, this is about the Yankees, the Mets, and Juan Soto. Those are the only three things. I know the Red Sox were in there and the Dodgers for a minute, but like it really came down to Yankees, Mets, Soto. We the only three people at this table. We the only three people talking. What happened with Aaron Judge, Derek Jeter does not matter anymore. We the only people here. If they're gonna do something for you, once I tell you I'm not doing it for whatever reason, I am suddenly at a disadvantage. Because when all the money's similar, it comes down to the little stuff. Who makes my family feel important? The franchise that has security guards giving them a hard time, or the franchise that said, bring them all into this suite 81 times a year? It's on us. What's their favorite beer? Because that's what we'll have stocked in there. Do they like hamburgers, hot dogs? You know what? Forget it. They like steaks? We'll have steaks. What do you need? Tell us what they like. That's what we're doing. And the other franchise is telling you no. You know what it reminds me of? You ever hear the King Griffey Jr. story? So there's this documentary called Junior from a few years ago, right? King Griffey Jr., one of the greatest baseball players of all time. There's a clip that goes way back. He's getting ready to play, I believe, a playoff game at Yankee Stadium. This will make sense when I finish the story. And he's signing autographs for Yankees fans at the net or whatever. And some Yankees fans are like, Junior, you got to come play for the Yankees. And I don't have it right in front of me, but he says something like, never. I would never. And it's like, well, that's a weird thing to say. You just ignore it or you smile or you say, thank you. Or you never, but it's a weird thing to say. He said, never. And he actually said something along the lines of, if the Yankees were the only team in the world that offered me a baseball contract, I would retire. So you're like, what? What's he so mad about? So in this documentary, they ask him about this. And he explains. And he tells a story about when he was a kid. And his dad was playing for the Yankees, King Griffey Sr. I think it's 82, 83 in that range. King Griffey Jr., a young kid, I don't know the age exactly, but let's call it like 10, is sitting in the dugout with his father at Yankee Stadium. And somebody comes over and says, hey, you got to get out of here. And they're like, what? And it's like, yeah, George Steinbrenner, the owner, doesn't want kids on the field and stuff. So, like, you got to get out of here. And they're like, what? Like, I'm just sitting here with my son. Like, what do we do? I'm just sitting on a bench at work. Like, you should be loving this. Why are you trying to interrupt a moment I'm having with my son? Why are you just... My son's sitting here matters to nobody. Why are you bothering us? Well, George said he don't want any kids on the field. All right? So King Griffey Jr. gets up to leave, as you would. And he says that at some point his father, King Griffey Sr., says, look over there at third base. And it was Greg Nettles, the Yankees third baseman, white. King Griffey Sr., black. And I only bring that up because they believe it played a role. Greg Nettles, 10-year-old son, taking ground balls at third base.
Oh, wow.
King Griffey Jr. told to get out of the dugout. And King Griffey Jr. decided that day, I will never play for this organization. He carried that with him forever. Because of the way he was treated when he was a kid. And you got Yankees security guards who I know had no idea, I'm certain. But they're giving Juan Soto's family a hard time. Reportedly, there were 2 incidents this season where nothing big, but just like, I'm Juan Soto's brother. Leave me alone. Mm-hmm. I'm Juan Soto's dad. Leave me alone. Stop harassing me. Be like every time Ja's parents walked into FedEx Forum, somebody was giving them a hard time. That's what it felt like. And then you got this other owner who's saying, you're the most important thing in the world to us. We're willing to do anything for you. Will you give me the biggest contract in team sports history? Yeah. Will you give me a suite? Sure. Whatever you want. We've already told you whatever you want. Well, the Yankees said they couldn't. Well, then that's what they said. But I'm telling you, we can. Mm-hmm. It's starting to make sense. How did he get over here?
It is.
It's the little stuff like that, Bennett.
That's wild.
It's the little stuff like that. Reminds me of the Cat Williams quote, right? If you were concerned about the way I would treat you in the future, you should have been more careful about the way you treated me in the present. All right? Because now I'm going to go across town to Queens. I'm going to try to bring another World Series to the Big Apple, but from the National League side. You reap what you sow. I think the Yankees are reaping what they sow. Comes down to how you treat people, Bennett. That's a good lesson for all of us.
Interesting.
That's a good lesson for all of us.
Number 5.
AJ Dybantsa, number 1 high school prospect in the country.
Oh, speaking of getting paid.
Announced a commitment this morning to Brigham Young University. This is interesting on a variety of levels. First, let me tell you about Dybantsa because we've talked about him before, but he's not a household name like Cooper Flagg was coming out of high school.
Okay.
But this is the number 1 player in the country. He led Peach Jam in scoring 2 summers ago after his freshman year of high school. 6'9". I'm not saying he's Kevin Durant. What I'm telling you is if I just showed you his highlights, you'd be like, my God, he looks like Kevin Durant. Mm-hmm. If you told me he's going to be the scoring champion in the NBA when he's 26 years old, yeah, I can see that. He is awesome. He's one of those people when you walk into the gym, you walk into an EYBL gym, Peach Jam, Under Armour circuit, Adidas circuit. You could walk into any game, Team Thad, Team somebody else, and there's a kid here ranked 23rd, a kid here ranked 81st, and they kind of blend together. Like you wouldn't necessarily. You would notice, you'd be like, this young man's getting to the bucket a lot. Who is he? He looks a little better than the others. It's like, oh yeah, he's 5-star recruit, ranked 17th in the country. But they can also blend in a little bit. You go watch AJ Dybantsa, you don't have to know nothing about basketball. You don't have to know nothing about 24/7 sports, recruiting rankings. You go, oh my God, who is that?
You can see it, yeah.
Because he is different than everybody. Young basketball players love to say that they're different. He's different. I'm different. Most of them aren't. He is. He is outrageous. Super talented. I'm not surprised that BYU reportedly was willing to go all the way up to $5 million in an NIL package for him.
Damn.
But that is where they went, reportedly. So,
that's so rare. I mean, BYU, it's so random.
I'm about to, there's explanation for it.
Sure.
And it mostly comes down to money. But just to hammer home how talented this young man is, I think everybody understands what Cooper Flagg is. He's a star at Duke, high school phenom, projected number 1 pick in the 2025 NBA draft. If you were to ask NBA general managers or most just basketball people, if you took Cooper Flagg and AJ Dybantsa and put them in the same draft right now, like we're just going to draft tonight. Forget the 2025 draft. Forget the 2026 draft. Let's have a December 10th, 2024 draft. Let's put all the amateur basketball players in it. Who you taking number 1? AJ Dybantsa or Cooper Flagg? The overwhelming majority would go Dybantsa over Flagg.
Okay.
He's different. He's incredible. So then the question becomes, why BYU? And what's interesting about this is there's a few different things. One, BYU hired Kevin Young.
They gave him a suite.
He hired Kevin Young out of the NBA So it's like, this is a guy who was an NBA assistant headed toward maybe being an NBA head coach someday, but he's bringing all these NBA stuff to college basketball. So that's obviously interesting on some level to a prospect like AJ Dybantsa, who's only going to spend 5 months playing college basketball.
Got it.
But in fairness, there's a lot of people who can bring NBA stuff to college basketball. So I get it, but it still comes down to the money. Here's the truth. His family was paid a lot of money to get him to go to Utah to go to high school. He's in Utah right now going to a prep school. So he moved to the state.
Okay.
They took money to go to Utah. He was in California playing high school basketball last year. He's from Massachusetts. Last year, he played high school basketball in California. Right now, he's playing college basketball in Utah. And now he's going to go to BYU because they got a big money booster who's willing to pay for it. And this is an interesting component of this. When we first started talking about NIL, people would say things like, it's just going to make the gap grow wider. And we already know how this is going to look. Kentucky and Duke and Kansas are just going to buy all the best players. Well, right now, the number one player in America just got bought by BYU, not Kentucky and Duke. And the two highest paid transfers in America, based off of what we know, is Great Osobor and Coleman Hawkins. Great Osobor is at Washington, and Coleman Hawkins is at Kansas State. So the idea that this was always just going to be Duke and Kentucky and the Blue Bloods buying up all the best players, it's just not true.
And you had the Rutgers kids.
There's 2 5-stars at Rutgers right now. This is one of the things I had right when discussing this. I would always say things like, when we get there, Duke and Kentucky might buy all the best players, but only if they decide to, and if everybody else decides not to. But you could be, this is the example I would always throw out there. I was like, do you understand if there's a billionaire in Hattiesburg, Mississippi, who really loves women's soccer and decides he wants to build the best women's soccer program in America at Southern Miss, and by throwing $5 million at it and just literally going to a website and saying, who are the best 40 high school soccer players in America, and then go offering 10 of them $500,000 each, suddenly the number one ranked women's college soccer program in America will be Southern Miss. You just got to find somebody to throw the money at you and then go do it. And that's what's happening all over the country. At Kansas State, they got money, so they added Coleman Hawkins. At Washington, they got money, so they added Great Osobor. At Arkansas right now, how did they get all these players to follow Cal from Kentucky? Paid them. And now BYU just stepped up and did it. So there is no scenario where BYU or a school like BYU could sign the number one player in America from Massachusetts pre-NIL. Literally impossible. AJ Dybantsa would not even look at BYU if not for NIL. But because they say, we got more than anybody and we're willing to give it to you. Like Alabama has a lot, and reportedly Alabama said, we're just not going that. Whatever number you're going to, we ain't going there. So young man, if money's really the most important thing, just go take that money, because we're going to stop right here. BYU just wouldn't stop. And that is a path available to anybody. If you are a college basketball coach and you got the right boosters around you who are willing to give you the money to go get stuff done, we just saw it here. The number one player in America who was from Massachusetts and played high school basketball in California last year is going to BYU. And now he's got to deal with that honor code. You know about the honor code?
Mm-mm. Is that, the BYU honor code? No, I mean, I know no sex. You're not allowed to have sex.
Can't have sex.
No caffeine.
Beer, tobacco, alcohol, what they deem inappropriate clothing.
Mm-hmm.
On the On College Basketball podcast, we always shout out Brandon Davies, sort of a running joke. And the joke is that Brandon Davies, you can Google all this, he was Jimmer Fredette's teammate at BYU. He was BYU's second best player when BYU was like a top 10 team with Jimmer Fredette. And he got suspended because he got caught having sex.
Oh, I remember that.
They kicked him off the team.
I remember that. Wow.
It might have cost him a Final Four opportunity. And that's a real thing that happened. He got caught having premarital sex, and they suspended him from the basketball team. You can be punished all the way up to expulsion simply by having sex. What I'm about to explain to you is a hypothetical, but this is something that could theoretically happen. You go to Kansas, you score 35 points, you win the game in Allen Fieldhouse. That's amazing. Mm-hmm. You fly back home. The captain of the cheerleading team is real excited to see you. She comes over with a 6-pack of Bud Light. You take a drink, lay down with her, and now you're expelled from school. That's a real thing that could happen.
Yeah, you broke like 10 rules right there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that's a real thing that could happen. Can you imagine? I want to be clear because I never want to be disrespectful. This is a religious component to this.
Yeah, of course.
If you're about that life, be about that life. I don't care. It ain't got nothing to do with me. All the time I've ever spent in Utah, it's been like the people have been amazing.
I've always wanted to go to Utah.
Interesting place. If you're about that life, be about that life. But if you're not about that life, what in the world are you doing? Like, I remember being young. I like drinking a beer.
Yeah.
I liked having sex.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the stuff you can't do is stuff I was trying to do every day.
Yeah.
If you ain't trying to do that stuff, then go to BYU. What do I care? But, and I'm not even trying to be funny. This is just factual. The stuff you aren't allowed to do at BYU is stuff most young Americans do. The stuff most Americans do, at least one or the other, are things that can get you expelled at BYU. If I were AJ Dybantsa, you know what I'd have said to my father or agent or anybody else that was dealing with this? I'd have said, I want you guys to go out and get the best offers you can get, and I'm going to take the best offer from whatever school I can enroll at and also have sex. But if you think I'm going to a place where they say don't lay down with the cheerleader, like what is the point of scoring 35 points in a game if you can't lay down with the cheerleader?
Man.
I mean, what are we even
Fair
doing?
Question.
Just a wild situation.
Yeah.
I wish him luck, though.
I do, too.
I wish him luck. I guess that's one way to keep you focused.
Yeah.
I wish him luck. Big news this morning, AJ Dybantsa. He going to be a BYU Cougar. Be back in a second.
Grizzlies fans, dunks, dimes, and no-looks are great on TV, but nothing compares to catching them IRL. And that starts with buying tickets at Ticketmaster, the official ticket marketplace of the Memphis Grizzlies and the NBA. Ticketmaster gets you to the game so you can catch every highlight in person. From seeing your favorite Grizzly stars up close to hearing the squeak of the sneakers on the hardwood. Put that jersey collection to use and get tickets at Ticketmaster. There's no better brag than saying you saw it live. See you courtside, Memphis.
Somebody who really has done what they were supposed to do, or maybe wasn't expected to do, is Jalen Wells, the Western Conference Rookie of the Month.
What you're seeing right now is him showing that, hey, no matter where I was going to go in the draft, I was going to be ready.
Hey, Grizzlies fans, be sure to tune in to Grizzbeat, where the panel and I break down all things Grizzlies and take a look at the rest of the NBA as well. The show is live every Wednesday, 2 p.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Get the squad together for this year's Junior Grizzlies 3-on-3 tournament, presented by 2K at the Built Ford Tough practice facility inside FedEx Forum. On Saturday, January 4th, teams will compete in 3 games before advancing to single elimination play. Overall winners from the 10 and under, 12 and under, and 14 and under divisions will win Grizzlies tickets, including exclusive access to the pregame team shoot-around before the Grizz take on the Pelicans January 24th. Sign up today at hoopitup.com/Grizzlies. Hoop on the Grizzlies home court at Junior Grizzlies Game Day Clinics presented by Ortho South. Clinics are open to kids ages 6 to 14 and last 60 minutes. The next clinic tips off December 23rd, the same day the Grizzlies play the Clippers. All skill levels are welcome, from beginner to competitive athlete. Sign up now before spots sell out at Grizzlies.com/Junior Grizzlies. Registration includes a Junior Grizzlies t-shirt and 2 tickets to the game that day.
There's no substitute for experience, the knowledge gained from having been there before, and the passion to share what you know to make everyone around you better. It's true in basketball. It's true in banking. Grizzlies Checking from Pinnacle. Play hard. Bank easy.
Open a Grizzlies checking account with at least $100 and a recurring direct deposit by August 31st, and you could receive a $200 direct deposit bonus into your account. Details at grizzliesbanking.com. Member FDIC.
Welcome back, Gary Parrish Show, presented by Ortho South. We're inside the Built Ford Tough studio. Bennett, I should update you on my delivery situation from yesterday.
Oh, what's going on?
If you remember yesterday, I'll try to be quick with it. I had something scheduled. I ordered something last night. It's a big thing from a store, and they had to deliver it to my house. I scheduled delivery.
Yeah, I got
So
you.
they scheduled delivery by Monday, and yesterday I'm sitting here doing this show, and I get the text message. It's like, hey, we got a driver. He's got one more delivery, and then he'll be on his way to your house. And I'm like, well, that's not good because I'm not going to be there for a
you're
while.
not gonna be there.
And then a driver texts me. He's like, hey, buddy, I'm like 10 minutes away from your house. And I said, well, buddy, I'm not going to be there. Why are you trying to deliver this to my house right now? I never told you to. And I ain't home, and I ain't going to be home for a little while.
Yep.
He said, well, what time do you think you could be here? I said, I could probably be there by around 1. He said, well, I'm off work by 1. I said, well, you just tell me what I need to do then, because this is already more complicated than it should have been. I'm just trying to purchase something from you. He said, well, if I were you, I'd just go by the store and then talk to them, and y'all could figure this out. And I said, buddy,
I'm not doing that.
What is the point of buying something online and scheduling a delivery if I got to still go to the store? I'm starting to lose my cool a little bit. But I calmed down, and we finished the show, and then I went on one Monday. So I get this weird thing where I didn't want to drive all the way home yet. I didn't want to drive all the way home before I went and got the boys from school. And so I ended up, I was like second in the car rider line for the first time ever. I ain't never
That's pretty good.
I've been last in the car rider line.
Yeah.
I never been second. But I've been second, but now I got like a little minute to sit here. So I said, okay, you know what? I got to figure out this Best Buy thing. So I just I just let it out of the bag. It is Best Buy. It's Best Buy.
Oh, wow.
It's Best Buy. Okay?
I wouldn't have thought.
Yeah.
I expect better.
I was trying to keep their name out of it.
Yeah, I got you.
But it slipped out.
I expect better.
But it is
them.
Best Buy.
Yeah.
Okay. So I said, I got to figure out this Best Buy thing. I'm just sitting here now. Let's figure it out. So I go online, and it says, hey, you want to schedule your delivery? I said, we've tried this before.
Yeah.
So I said, yes, I do want to schedule my delivery. And the first available day they gave me was Thursday. Now, that was a little disappointing because it was supposed to be delivered on Monday. But whatever, not the biggest deal in the world. Fine, schedule it for Thursday. And they said, now you got to pick a window. I said, okay, I'll do that. Guess what window they offered me?
9 a.m. to 2 p.m.
I wish. This was the window, I swear to God. 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. That's the window.
What are we doing?
So I said, all right, I'm just sitting here.
This is crazy.
I'm going to call.
Uh-oh.
So I call, and needless to say, it's like, please tell us what you're calling. And I was like, I want to speak to a representative. Is this about an online order? Yes. And what would you like I would like to speak to a representative. Who would you like to? It's one of those.
Oh, God,
I'm yelling at the thing.
It's so bad.
I'm yelling. I'm like, representative. What would you? Representative. I'm just yelling representative into the phone. Representative. I'm just
We've all been there.
All right.
Yeah.
Finally, they get me to some guy. He's doing the best he can, but we got a language barrier.
Okay.
It's just nothing's going perfectly.
I understand.
I'm like, buddy, I'll be quick with this. Here's the deal. I ordered something last week. You're supposed to deliver it today. For whatever reason, you tried to deliver it while I was at work. Now I'm trying to reschedule, and you're trying to tell me I got to be at home from 7 a.m. till 7 p.m. I don't know how many normal people can be at home, just set around literally for 12 hours waiting for something to maybe get delivered. Because, like, you ain't above missing this window anyway, all right? So, like, what am I supposed to do? You just help me. Tell me what I'm supposed to do. He's like, I got to transfer you to another place. I said, thank God. They send me over. 20 minutes later, after 20 minutes on hold, I'm with a woman now. And she says, can I help you? And I said, yeah, let me tell you what's going on with me. She said, I bought something last week. It's supposed to be delivered today. You tried to deliver it. I'm not even home. And then I was like, but I'll be home at this time. And the driver was like, well, I'm off work by that time. You're just going to have to go by the store. And I went online and I tried to schedule delivery for Thursday. And they said the only window is 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. She said, oh, yeah, that's right. And I said, I really can't get a smaller window than 7 a.m. to 7 p.m.? Like, I have a job. Like, I think most people do. And she said, well, what happens is we schedule in that window, and then the drivers will reach out to you, and you guys can coordinate when you're both available to make this happen.
We just tried to do that.
I said, we just tried to do that. And the driver wanted to deliver it while I was at work, and I told him when I'll be home from work, and the driver said, well, I'm off work then, so that your plan ain't working. And she said, oh, okay. And I said, and at this point, I'm starting to ask questions. I said, let me ask you a question. I said, do you not, like, as a normal human, find it slightly unreasonable to just, hey, on a random Thursday, if you want this thing we told you we would deliver to you, here's the second part of what we got to tell you. You got to stay home all day. just in case. I was like, would you do that? And without even hesitation, she said, well, if I was trying to get my delivery, that's what I would do, yes. And I said, damn. And then I said, well, that's not reasonable for me to do. I can't, I literally cannot sit at my home from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And I said, so like, but I can tell you I can be home by early afternoon and give you the rest of the night. Could we do a 12:30 till the rest of the night, till midnight window? Because I'll be at home for that whole thing. She said, well, no, sir, we can't do that. The window is 7 a.m.
Come on.
to 7 p.m. And if you would like me to keep you on the schedule, then I can. And I said, all right, you know what? This seems like absurd to me. And so rather than keep going back and forth like this, I'd prefer to just cancel the whole order. And what do you think she said?
Okay.
Without hesitation, she said, okay, can you just get me that order number? I said, damn it.
Mm-hmm. You thought you were getting over on him.
I just wanted her to say,
hang on, sir.
Mr. Perry, no, we don't want to lose your business. She could not have cared less. So then she was like, yeah, just give me the order number. And then I'm stuck. There's a part of me that's like, I should just back off now. Because all I'm doing right now is complicating my own life.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to go find another TV and go through this whole process again. I'm only making my life harder right now. So what do? Do I stand on business or do I, but standing on business is going to make my life harder.
Yeah.
Or do I shrink and say, all right, ma'am, you got me. I was hoping I could I was hoping I could out-argue you and push you, but you don't seem to care.
What'd you do?
I told her cancel it.
Yeah.
She said,
I don't think you can back off.
I couldn't back off.
Once you went down that path, you can't back off or you look like you've lost.
I thought she was going to think I was a bitch if I backed off.
Yeah.
And I couldn't. But I realized right then,
you lost either way.
You cannot get into an argument with somebody who doesn't care.
Dude, that's the problem is we used to live in a society not that long ago where you could do the threaten to cancel, threaten to not go through with it.
Didn't care. Oh, buddy,
and they'd say, well, hang on. They don't do that anymore. It's all right, let's cancel
I thought I would say, listen, just can I not get a 12:30 to literally midnight window and that'll be fine? She'd be like, of course.
Yeah.
And she said, no, it's 7 to 7. And I said, if you can't do better than this, then let's just cancel the order. And she said, okay, give me the order number. And I was like, let me find it. And I was like, I should just say I can't find it. And then I should just hang up.
Just hang up.
Just
get out.
Just get out
jump out of it.
But then I was like, she's going to think I'm a bitch. And she's going to laugh at me and tell other people.
And she might cancel your order anyways if you hang up on her.
And then she might
You've already gone down this path.
And then she might Google me and be like, oh, it's that bald-headed guy that looks like a penis. And then she could be making fun of everything. She could be she could be in the YouTube chat. And I was like, I'm just going to go through with it. So I was like, yeah, cancel it. Here's my order number. And then I hung up the phone and I was like, God.
Why'd I do this to myself?
Now I was like, I got to go find. So you know what I had to do? I had to spend time finding the exact same TV. I was this close to buying the exact same TV from the exact same place and just hoping I could deal with somebody else. I found the exact same TV for the exact same price. But now it will not be delivered until, I believe, next week.
Yeah.
And I had to pay a $30 delivery fee.
Damn.
So now I will get what I ordered later, and for more money, and with more effort, simply because I was trying to prove a point to somebody who was unwilling to have a point proved to them because she does not care. You cannot argue with somebody, or you cannot win an argument with somebody who isn't invested in the argument like you are. This woman is not Best Buy. This woman makes, I don't know what she makes, but whatever she makes at Best Buy, whether I buy something from them or not, is not coming out of her paycheck.
That's right.
She does not care. Every once in a while, I'll get like kind of friends of mine, and they'll reach out to me, and they want to argue about something. And it's like, buddy, I don't care. I'm not spending my time talking to you. You can be mad or be happy, but I'm not spending my time talking to you about it. That's the way she made me feel.
Yeah,
she's like, hey, you might have a valid argument, but I'm the only one that can fix this for you, and I don't care. You're just bothering me by being on the phone. I learned a lesson yesterday, Bennett.
Yeah.
I learned a lesson. I thought I'd get on the phone with somebody, Best Buy, and they'd be like, of course we can just put a note that says we'll deliver at 12:30. It's fine. Don't worry about it. But they stood their ground, and then I tried to stand mine, and I lost.
That's tough.
I lost. I learned a lesson, though.
Sorry, man.
That's fine. That's all right. I'm going to be all right. But I learned a lesson. I was humbled. Yeah. I was humbled yesterday. There's no question. I got humbled. I was humbled yesterday.
Yeah.
Let's do GP's carry out.
It's time for GP's Carryout. One final segment filled with stuff to take with you. It's not everything you need to know, but it's most of it. What did we learn today?
Whole bunch of stuff, but maybe I should hit you with some possible breaking news. Do we have confirmation yet? Is Bill Belichick the coach at North Carolina yet?
I can't tell.
People are it looks like we're headed that direction for Bill Belichick to be the next head coach of the North Carolina Tar Heels. Did you see the scene where it's like Tom Brady and Gronk and some other former Patriot, and they asked all of them, like, could you see Bill Belichick coaching in college? And every one of them was like, no. And Brady,
now he's gonna do it.
And Brady even says, like, he'd walk into somebody's living room, like a recruit's living room, and be like, so are you gonna come? Like, we don't even know if we really want you. You know, we'll get you there and we'll see if you can play, but we don't even know if we really want you.
Yeah.
Like the way he talks to, among the reasons Tom Brady ended up getting out of New England is because he was tired of the way Bill Belichick treating him.
Yeah.
He wanted to be treated like a goat, and Bill Belichick never talked to him or looked at him like a goat. And he was like, I want to go somewhere where people look at me like I'm a goat. College recruiting, I know it's a little different now because of the money. You don't have to be as charming as you used to be.
Yeah.
You just throw down more money. But he will have to change a lot of the ways he's done things to do them successfully at the collegiate level, if indeed he does go on to become the North Carolina head coach. But that's a swirling possible headline this morning. We could be close to having a former New England Patriots legend on the sidelines in the ACC.
What's today's biggest game?
Let's go to the Jimmy V Classic.
Okay.
Nightcap inside Madison Square Garden. Number 14 Michigan against Arkansas. 8 o'clock tip. It's on ESPN. This is a big game for John Calipari. Let me tell you why. We conducted our Candid Coaches series back in August. We asked more than 100 college coaches, who was the best hire of 2024? John Calipari was the leading vote getter at Arkansas. Number 2 was Mark Pope at Kentucky. Number 2 was Dusty May at Michigan. Number 3 was Mark Pope at Kentucky. If Arkansas doesn't beat Michigan tonight, and by beat I mean upset because Michigan's like a 4.5-point favorite, John Calipari's Razorbacks will drop to 7-3 on the season, including 0-3 against top 85 teams. They will have no good wins and 3 losses. Meantime, John Calipari's old school is 8-1, coming off of a win over Gonzaga and ranked 5th in the AP poll. And if John Calipari loses tonight, it will be a loss to Dusty May, another first-year coach at a new school. So here's what I'm telling you. If John Calipari loses tonight, despite being the guy most coaches told us thought would be the best hire, and despite being the guy who bought the best roster of any of the first-year coaches in college basketball, that's why Arkansas was ranked higher in the preseason than any other program with a first-year coach. Despite all of that, John could have a 7-3 record after tonight, including an 0-3 mark against top 85 teams, while his old school with a first-year coach, Kentucky, is ranked 5th in the country, and Michigan, another school with a first-year coach that wasn't supposed to be as good as him, is also ranked in the top 20 of the AP poll and coming off a victory on a neutral court over you. If you don't think that'll get Arkansas fans up in arms, find your favorite Arkansas message board tonight if the Razorbacks don't score as many points as the Wolverines. Tonight, Michigan, the number now 3.5. It's gone down a little bit. Total is 147.5. Bennett, how are you going to act?
I'll take the Hogs.
Bennett says he wants John Calipari in the points.
Yeah.
John Calipari in the points you get then. Arkansas plus 3.5, tips 8 on ESPN.
What are we watching on TV?
Jamie Foxx's new Netflix special, What Had Happened Was, has dropped on Netflix as of this morning, where he discusses the coma.
Oh, yeah.
That he endured,
the brain bleed, he said.
He said he woke up, thought he'd been asleep for a little while. They said, no, buddy, you've been asleep for a long while, and you almost died. So that's dropped today. I'm sure to get a lot of attention. Already headlines coming from it. You can find it right now, netflix.com.
What's the best thing we've read?
Time Magazine put Caitlin Clark on the cover this morning. You know what they called her? The 2024 Athlete of the Year. She is, though.
I think that checks, yeah.
Yeah. She was the National Player of the Year in college basketball. First team all WNBA in the WNBA, and she changed that league more dramatically than anybody else changed any other league in the world. She's the most sensible option for Time Athlete of the Year. And so if you haven't seen the cover, read the cover story yet, you can find it. Just Google Time and Caitlin Clark.
What's on tap for tomorrow?
What'll be Wednesday? We'll be looking back at some NBA Cup quarterfinal games, getting ready for some NBA Cup quarterfinal games. Chris Vernon should join me in the first hour. Looking forward to it already. Enjoy the rest of your day. I'll enjoy mine. Meet back here tomorrow at 10. Till then, be careful, be kind, be good. Rep your hood.